Hey friends, happy Thursday, the 11th of April, Thursday of the second week of Easter. It's nice to be with you. I'm Father Bill Hill, priest at Holy Spirit Catholic Community in Rock Springs, Wyoming. I will share with you a reflection on the daily readings. They're linked down below. Click the link, read the readings prayerfully, and then turn off the screen. Spend some time with God before you move on to other things. One parish announcement, you've probably heard that we are in the midst of a capital campaign. We have receptions this week and next week. We would love to have you join us. So please call the parish office and RSVP for one of the receptions next week. Tuesday night, I think that's the 16th of April at 6 p.m. or Thursday, the 18th of April at 12 noon or at 6 p.m., all at SCM Parish Center. We would love to meet, talk about our plans, and to answer any questions we have. Lots of information out in town, but maybe if you have questions, it would be great to talk face to face, right? All right, please keep that and all of the efforts of our parish community in your prayers. Easter season, we're working on the Acts of the Apostles and the Gospel of John. So, Acts of the Apostles. It ends on a really fun cliffhanger, and it's worthy just kind of enjoying that, like a great comic book or, a great TV series, right? The high priests and the Sadducees. When they heard this, they became infuriated. They wanted to put them to death. And I forgot to talk about this yesterday, but it's fun to see the boldness of the apostles, like here or in our proclamation yesterday, compared to the ones who were afraid of being dragged out in the streets and put to death before Pentecost. Like the Spirit changes everything. And of course, we have our first taste of the Spirit today in the gospel as well. As we see the apostles, maybe we ask for the Holy Spirit to help us with the grace that we need for stuff that we're fighting against and struggling with ourselves on, and to just ask that we might have that boldness, that courage, that willingness to do things that we would prefer not to, like the apostles did as they proclaimed Jesus. We have now, the second time in the Acts of the Apostles, we must obey God rather than men. And this is always a fun tension in the Christian world, and especially in the Catholic world, because, we hold that fourth commandment, honor your father and your mother, to include all rightfully established authority. That the only times that we violate rightfully established laws and authority is when they are in violation of the human conscience, as silencing preachers preaching the truth about Jesus is a violation there. But there's always that tension between obeying God and obeying humans, and like radical self-will that needs to be, brought into bearing with overall the harmony of creation. And then the other side is like out of control deference and an inability to have our own thoughts and opinions. There is that golden average in between those, which is the right balancing of community obligations and individual obligations, to paying attention to who we are and what God is saying inside of us, and also being involved in the great harmony of the recreation in Jesus. As we hear for the second time, we must obey God rather than men. How are you doing in listening to your conscience, forming your conscience, and balancing your conscience against the reality of the call to live in community in this present age? Okay, Gospel of John. We have a continuation of the teaching of Jesus to Nicodemus. I think that this is the last one. Tomorrow we switch to the start of Bread of Life discourse in John. We start to hear hints of the Spirit. And so, where do I see? He does not ration his gift of the Spirit. Speaking of, the Son and incorporation of the Son. Perhaps that's worthy of sitting with in and of itself, I believe. That God has breathed the Spirit of life into you, the Spirit of Jesus, the Holy Spirit, that relationship of love between the Father and the Son. And God doesn't hold back. God doesn't ration. You have been poured out in overwhelming superabundance. Do we live out of that awareness that the Spirit is just overflowing and the gifts of the Spirit are overflowing? I worry that, we perhaps think that it's all about us and that we have to do it and then God will be pleased with us afterwards. God does not ration the gifts of the Spirit. The other thing that struck me in my prayer, the one who is of earth is earthly and speaks of earthly things, but the one who comes from heaven is over all and above all. In a 24-hour period, maybe you're asleep for 8 of those, roughly. Those other 16 hours, how much are we thinking about heavenly things? How much are we talking about heavenly things? And how much are we thinking about the details of earthly existence? Obviously, we are not monks and nuns and hermits, and so we are called to the details of life. And especially I'm aware of parents who are always taking care of young ones and the details that come into all of that. But at the same time, maybe to sit in that silence and to ask if we're comfortable with the amount of time that we think about heavenly things, the amount of time that we think about earthly things, and maybe we have a conversation with the Lord about that. All right, friends, happy Thursday. May this day be a blessing to you and to all. Read those readings prayerfully. Turn off the screen. Spend some time with God before you move on to other things. Pray for folks that are having a hard time. God bless y'all.